Don't know how I feel about these changes yet. I personally am not a big fan of them literally making agent buffs and nerfs while a tournament already started, while an actual RIOT event, an actual qualifier for a RIOT event, is literally already live. Second day of the tournament, they just say, by the way, teams, we're updating some agents. We're updating 2 staples of the meta that are picked every single game. Every single team has a Cypher or Killjoy, but you know what? We're going to make some buffs and some nerfs, and you're going to have to deal with it. By the way, it's a RIOT event. By the way, it's the first big event ever. Valorant patch notes 1.11. Agent updates. Agent patch chat, finally. Sky joins the Valorant Rooster. Sky will be available for use in official esports competition, like First Strike, after 2 weeks in competitive queue, November 9th, barring any issues. With First Strike on the horizon, it's not really on the horizon, it's literally already started. The balance team has been hard at work making our last round of major balance changes before teams start duking it out. We want to ensure that the top teams don't have to constantly adapt to a changing game while they're playing in a tournament. Let's just go ahead and remember this sentence right here, right? Let's go ahead and remember this one. Right, chat? This one, right here. Let's just go ahead and copy that one just for later, after some of these changes they're making that I know they're making. Minor balance changes may occur during the span of First Strike, but we want to push changes like this one in the patch that heavily impact this team's strategy. Another questionable statement, another bold statement by RIOT right there. One of the trends we have observed is that attacking teams can have a really hard time breaking entrenched defenders. Although every piece of the game can influence this type of trend, move speed, weapon tuning, map design, agent balance, we think there are a few targeted character changes that can help give attackers more opportunities to break entrenched defenders. Each is listed below. Thank you, Max Grossman. Flash tuning. The fade out of the flash debuff remains the same duration, but now fades slower at the start. Initiators create concentrated windows of extremely high threat to help their teams break into sites. To this end, we are slightly increasing the duration of debuffs from some initiator abilities, mostly flashes. Our goal here is to increase the opportunity window that initiators teammates have to capitalize on a utility and further differentiate initiators from duelists. So they're buffing Breach. His full flash went from 1.75 to 2 seconds. Bro, that's a long time. Okay, moving on. Sentinels. Similar to some of the changes we made with Sage, the Sages in the chat, we want to increase the depth of decision making when playing Sentinels while also providing enemies with more counterplay to trap abilities. To reduce the potential impact of these abilities, autonomous traps are now disabled when the player dies. For example, Cypher's tripwire disables when Cypher dies. We want to encourage Sentinel players to play more thoughtfully and carefully on their trips while increasing the reward for taking out the Sentinel player. Cypher trapwire disabled upon death. Spy camera disabled and revealed upon death. Both are also revealed upon death. So they see exactly where your trips are, and they see exactly where your camera is. So if you have like a nice nerd cam you're throwing up, well, they're gonna see it when you die. Can't hide anymore. That's a big change. That's a big change, because it was good that even if you're playing Cypher and you want to play aggressive, you still get your trips around, right? Especially in attack. The dead Cypher literally can still hold your flanks. Now it's like, oof. That's a rough one. That's a rough one, I think. Killjoy is most effective when locking down a single site. Killjoy has to stay near her turret and alarm bot for them to remain active. Her global recon should be hit pretty hard here, but we have slightly boosted her stalling power to counterbalance that nerf. All in all, we hope to see Killjoy in a very similar place power-wise, but give her a strong identity as the premier on-site defender. Deactivation range. So they added a mechanic to Killjoy stuff where if she is too far away from her abilities, they don't work anymore. Alarm bot and turret now deactivate. Any deactivators in the chat? If she is more than 40 meters away from them, re-entering the 40-meter range reactivates her little friends. I gotta call them little, bro. What's wrong with you? Like, she has to stay near her turret to make her turret even work, which means holding the flank now. Flankers have a lot of room to move up probably now, if I had to guess. Cypher dies early in a round, you can immediately assume that the flank is open, right? Right, chat? By the way, anyone remember that thing I copy pasted or I pasted? Remember this? We want to ensure that the top teams don't have to constantly adapt to a changing game while they're playing in a tournament. Well, that's interesting choice of wording there, Riot, and they're literally nerfing two staples of the meta right now. Interesting choice of wording there. Turret cooldown after pickup reduced from 20 to 10. So this means if you put your turret down and you suck it back in, you get the good suck. You used to have a 20-second delay, and now there's only 10 seconds. So that's a buff. That's good. Alarm bot range at which alarm bot can be detected decreased from 9 to 7, which means it's harder to detect when the alarm bot's down on the ground. And then the cooldown went from 20 to 7. That's another pretty good buff, I think. You know, it kind of sucks mid-round if you have to suck back your turret or your alarm bot and you're just out for 20 seconds. Now it's pretty fast. Damage at which nanostorm can be detected from 5 meters to 3.5 meters, which means it's harder again to track where her mollies are. Damage increased from 40 to 45. Damage now ticks smoother and faster instead of in chunks of 10 every quarter of a second. So this is probably like it ticks damage like Brim Molly or Phoenix Molly. So okay, interesting. Don't know how I feel about these changes yet. I personally am not a big fan of them literally making agent buffs and nerfs while a tournament already started, while an actual Riot event, an actual qualifier for a Riot event, is literally already live. Second day of the tournament, they just say, by the way, teams, we're updating some agents. We're updating two staples of the meta that are picked every single game. Every single team has a Cypher or a Killjoy, but you know what? We're going to make some buffs and some nerfs, and you're going to have to deal with it. By the way, it's a Riot event. By the way, it's the first big event ever. Anyway, to continue, competitive updates. Icebox enters the competitive map rotation. Still have never played Icebox, by the way. Icebox will be available for use in official esports competition after 4 weeks in comp. November. Yeah, they told us this. They told us that Icebox would be for like the second qualifier. So this isn't that big of a surprise, but yeah. Shorter unrated queue times for the highest ranked players. Hey, is that me, chat? We've taken steps to further solve issues for elite players experiencing long queue times for unrated. We're also further investigating improvements, reducing long queue times for all primary modes. I think there shouldn't be skill-based matchmaking in unrated. I think unrated should just be a free-for-all. Deal with it. No, just 10s. What's up, Jonas? Added location of the current game pod to the loading screen. Adjusted combat score to factor in non-damaging assists. So I get combat score for tracking people with my Sova dart, and finally, and my Sova drone. Poggers. I like that. Game mode updates. Play out all rounds option now available in custom lobby. Oh my god, finally. It was so annoying that when you play a scrim against another team in custom, you had to hard swap teams and then restart the game. Now you can actually just play out all rounds. Thank God. Play out all rounds makes it easier to run practice sessions. When enabled, the game will no longer end when a team reaches 13. Instead, the match will continue on until both teams have played a full half of 12 rounds each side. After 24 rounds, the team with more rounds will win. In the case of a tie, the game will proceed to overtime. So the only thing that I would give for feedback to Riot on something like this is they shouldn't make it end after 24 rounds. It should literally just be you end when you want to end, because if the game actually ends at 24 rounds, then we don't want there to be any kind of a tracking for other teams to see how our scrims are going. We don't want people to see what maps we're playing. We don't want people to see what comp we're running. We don't want people to see anything like that. So it can't, the only way something like this would actually help and would actually work is if they make it so that there's no post screen, right? It doesn't show in our history. It doesn't show in our career. So, you know, this needs to also go with what I just said. It needs to go hand in hand. Customs aren't available in history, I'm pretty sure. If the game ends, it will show, actually. So, yeah. Anyway, they made another economy change. Game system updates to economy. Attackers who lose but survive the round without planting the spike receive a reduced number of credits. So, okay, so that's how it is in Counter-Strike. If you're an attack, if you're a terrorist or you're T-side in Counter-Strike, and you basically save in Counter-Strike, you get $0. So that's the downside to saving your gun on terrorist is if you save and you don't plant, you get $0. Now you get a lower, you only get 1,000. So yeah, CT as well. No, not CT. On CT you get full money every round no matter what. It's the trade-off. That's the word I'm looking for. So yeah. Defenders who lose but survive the round after the spike has detonated also receive reduced credits. Defenders who lose. Okay, so on CT, our defense side, if the bomb is planted and you save, you get $0 as well. Or you get $1,000 instead of whatever you had before. Interesting. That's interesting. I guess it's to, they want it, they want to punish you in some way instead of just getting full money. If you just full save, you actually have to take the hit to not get your full money the following round. That is also interesting. Dying to the spike will no longer count as a death. Okay. For all the people in chat that all you care about are stats. Okay. Additional economic information added as a tooltip when hovering over the exclamation mark next to the minimum next round in the shop. Context. These changes are intended to increase the richness in decision making regarding when it is worthwhile to save your gear versus go for the round win. Additionally, this will allow teams that can secure round wins more effectively to more effectively chip away at the economy of opponents that opt to save out expensive weapons on a round loss. Yeah, so this is actually kind of another indirect nerf to oppers, because I feel like most of the time the people who save the most are the oppers, right? You're in like a 1v3 as an op. I'm just going to insta save. Well, if you're going to save, you're going to hurt your economy to do that. So I think that's a good thing. I think things that limit the economy system right now is kind of weird. And you get so much money for doing nothing, basically. You can still op so often if you want to. So I think this is actually a good change. I think people are like, LOL, Riot, nice updates, but I actually like it. I think this is a good change. They didn't go to the full $0 like Counter-Strike has. They just gave you a reduced amount if you're saving on either team. So I think it's good. It makes it so that the nerd oppers, you know, those nerd jet ops can't just sit there all around just saving every round that your team is losing. So Hiko, your mic is bad. Okay, but like, I don't think we asked. Overall thoughts on this patch and this update, which I believe we are going to be playing. These changes to Killjoy, Cypher, Breach are all, and the flashes themselves are all going live today. And for the rest of the tournament, we will be playing with these patches, this patch notes. Everything that came in here is going live today, and we are going to be playing with the new stuff. My initial thoughts, very bold move. Very bold move. I personally think that if they were going to, okay, so they sent us an email last night saying, listen, there's a new patch coming out tomorrow. Here are the changes. Good luck, basically. And that's already after a day into the tournament. This is what they literally said in these patch notes. We want to ensure that the top teams don't have to constantly adapt to a changing game while they're playing in a tournament. I think that that is very overly ambitious for them to, it's too low. That's very, it's back. Very ambitious for them to make a comment like this, but then literally change multiple staple agents. Again, staple meaning there's either Cypher or Killjoy are picked every game. It's very bold of them to make a comment saying they don't want pros to adapt mid tournament, and they're putting out they're sending an update out that literally makes pros have to adapt mid tournament. I personally think that if they're going to make changes like this, they should give everybody, especially pros, time to adapt. I don't think adapting mid tournament is good. I don't think adapting mid tournament is good for the actual gameplay of the tournament itself. I think that if I'm Riot and I'm running my first event, the First Strike event, I think that they should want us to be as prepared to showcase as high gameplay and as high preparation as we can. The fact that they're making an update the second day of a tournament is actually kind of alarming to me.